I am loving life. I was visited by the most beautiful people at my shop today, and how do you even complain about that? How do you complain about seeing such beautiful people every single day? You just can't do it. I love people. I love talking to people. I love meeting people, good and bad, because I want to learn. I want to talk to you. I want to get into your brain, see how your life is going, see what it's like to live another person's life. Because the more I know about you, the more I know about life and different perspectives that I can't see, that I can't pay attention to, things that I don't know, that I don't get to experience, that I don't get to explore. So talking to you helps me learn more about me and the rest of the world and why we all work the way that we do. So get out there and talk to your brothers and sisters. Talk to them and tell them how much you care about them and you love them and how you just want to listen to their story. Because that's what it's all about, people. People love telling their story. And I love listening to the story. And if you love listening to the stories, you're a learner like I am too. And it is just a great place to be. Brothers and sisters, today we are going to be talking about crystals, the crystal energy. We're going to be talking about how to talk to crystals, how to read crystals, how to utilize them in healing. Crystals, crystals, crystals.
Crystals are defined as being a mineralogical body with a characteristic internal structure and enclosed by a symmetry of plane faces. They are, however, much more than that. We've discussed before that everything in the universe is a vibration, existing through many different frequencies at once. Our physical bodies are on this physical plane, but the sounds that we hear vibrate to a different frequency, as with smells and even thoughts. Crystals also vibrate to many frequencies at once. Health is the natural state of any form in the universe. Considering the vibrational existence of reality, health comes when the frequencies of anything are in balance and harmony with itself. When patterns of energy are disrupted, we experience a state which we know as disease, which is a body that's not at ease. The resistant, discordant energy patterning is responsible for every negative symptom we experience, everything from headache to cancer. Crystals and gemstones have a vibration that is free of resistant patterns. They are among some of the structures in the physical dimension which have the most balanced, cohesive, strong, and intentional frequencies. Their unchanging physical structure is a reflection of their innate energetic pattern of balance and strength, which are incorruptible. In the physical world, you pick up a crystal and feel it as something separate from you that you're just holding. But on higher frequencies, you're actually interacting with that stone energetically. This interaction then causes changes to your structure and psychology through your own energetic systems. It begins a process of rebalancing the energetic structure of your body, and in a sense, can help you heal. Now, consciousness is of course the determining factor of if you are going to be accepting of these new frequencies coming into your being through crystals. I'm not going to say crystals will heal you, because if you fight them and are non-receptive to these frequencies, you will continue to create the disharmony within yourself. Ultimately though, crystals can be used to retune your whole being back to a state of harmony and flow. Crystals have been used and revered since the dawning of civilization. In fact, the Christian Bible refers to crystals over 200 times. Precious stones were used in the foundation of New Jerusalem. They were also used in the breastplates of Aaron, the Hebrew high priest. Crystals have been discovered in the ruins of Babylonia and in ancient tombs of Egyptian and Chinese rulers. This wouldn't be spirit science without some sacred geometry though. Remember the 5 platonic solids? Science understands that all atomic patterns and molecular structures were based on these 5 forms. They create the forms that the universe manifests through. Well, here's the atomic structure of a beryl crystal. It's the flower of life, the creation pattern flowing through the structure of this crystal. Now, not all crystals are like that molecularly, but they are very geometric. There are 6 categories of crystals. Of course, there are lots and lots and lots of kinds of crystals, but no matter how many there are, they will always be in one of these categories: isometric, tetragonal, hexagonal, orthorhombic, monoclinic, and triclinic. For the most part, all of these systems are derived from the hexahedron, also known as the cube. One of the biggest things about crystals is that they can transmit frequencies. From a metaphysical perspective, we can transmit thoughts and emotions through crystals, but scientifically, does that make sense? Would you believe it if I said that pretty much all of modern computing technology was based on the living element of crystals? Consider the radio. The first radio was a crystal set. They would cut a piece of quartz crystal and touch a wire to it. The frequencies transmitted through the crystal.
The quartz!
That's right. The molecular arrangement, of course, is very stable and has a measurable frequency. And because of this, it can be used in basic technology. Nobel Prize winner Marcel Vogel discovered that crystals can be reprogrammed as silicon chips in a computer, and can also be programmed with the energy of consciousness. He discovered that when a person uses a computer, thoughts are transmitted into the computer by pressing on a keyboard. That information is stored in silicon chips via the medium of electricity. Thought is a form of energy which can be given direction through what we call intention. He concluded, due to this discovery, that crystals could also be programmed without the need for electricity, by using just thoughts as the informational energy. Another interesting find is that quartz is composed of silicon and oxygen, a combination known to geologists as the building block of all minerals. The living element within crystals is silicon. Science found in the 50s that silicon shows the same principles of life as carbon. Exactly 1 octave down on the periodic table from carbon is silicon. Sponges deep in the ocean made from 100% silicon were also discovered, which shows that silicon life doesn't just work in theory, but they actually exist right here on this planet. But get this, the Earth's crust itself is made out of silicon. It's 25% silicon, but silicon bonds with just about everything. So the Earth's crust is actually roughly 80% silicon compound. We're literally floating out in the middle of space on a giant crystal ball. The term Mother Earth never had so much meaning as now, as we learn that the entire planet itself is a conscious, living being. She's aware of you and everything going on her body. The energies within crystals are universal. Therefore, when you connect with a mineral and are open to receiving what it has to offer, and begin to play creatively through your higher self, you can contact and synthesize the energies from which the entire universe is comprised. This is why crystals are so powerful, and why they must only be used through the highest consciousness of the individual. Right intention during the use of crystals further serves to connect your personal energy with that of the crystal kingdom, helping you get to a place of love, of light, and the good of all. Although each and every one of us has an infinite power of the universe within the self, we as humans always like having that support from something external from us. Every crystal form has its own individual energy and its own personality. Each can be used in unique ways to assist one in understanding the nature of existence, or moving forward on our own life path destiny as we're consciously experiencing it. I feel that right now, as people are waking up, we're becoming more and more aware of our ancient knowledge and wisdom. Part of that information that is returning to us is the nature of crystals. I see crystals as being very monumental in the evolution of humankind. They could provide a lot of love, light, and insight for many who are struggling with their own inner demons in this coming time. Things are getting more and more intense, but it's also providing people with the opportunities that they need to raise their own vibrations and frequencies to a level of light and happiness. Healing has to come from within. I'm not going to say that if you just get crystals, you'll be happier or smarter or heal better. However, think of it like being with a close friend who really cares about you. They will provide their energy and attention to you to help you find yourself in this time of need. Crystals are like that. They will give you support if you allow them to, and open up your heart to the frequencies that they are emitting. So where can you get crystals? Well, there are several options. The easiest is probably just to find a local metaphysical store. There are usually at least 1 or 2, if not more, metaphysical shops in every city. You can find tons of pocket stones, usually ranging from 50 cents to $2 or $3. Of course, the bigger and bigger crystals you get, the more expensive they become. If you're hunting for bigger gems to purify the frequencies in your house, it's always fun, and cheaper, to go gem mining. Some gem mines actually allow you to go in with a pickaxe and mine your own crystals, and others have sand and water mining as well. This is a really fun experience, and I highly recommend it for anyone who's exploring crystals. Also, I feel it's important to note that if you have crystals and you want to learn what they are, simply do a Google search for crystal properties. There are tons of sites on the web which provide information on the particular frequencies or personalities of crystals. Crystals and gemstones are one of the most powerful tools available for us in the physical dimension right now. And like all tools, the key to maximum utilization is to learn how to consciously implement the tool. If we consciously recognize that our own electromagnetic fields are impacted by the energetic quality of each crystal and gemstone, we would see that they create an alchemical response within our own bodies and psychology, which would allow us to use them as the powerful tools that they are.
I actually do crystal readings, and so I have well over 250 crystals at this point that I just lay out in a tray. And I have somebody come in front of me and pick 9 crystals. I tell them, do not ask any questions. Don't tell me anything about yourself. The least I know, the better I know. And during my reading, you're not allowed to speak. And so you pick 9 crystals, don't say anything during the process, roll them in both of your hands, and then roll them out like dice. Depending on how they lay, they're going to tell me exactly what you need to know. Now, the reason that I know this is because all different crystals have different properties, different frequencies, different colors, different vibrations, different behavioral patterns, and I have really paid attention to all of that. I've paid attention to how crystals are growing. And I looked at each crystal that I have ever had, and I have picked it up in my hand. And I have paid attention to it and said, what do you have to teach me? At that point, I hold the crystal in my hand, I close my eyes, and I hold it close to me or far away from me, whatever feels comfortable, and ask the crystal to tell me what I need to know about it. Now, most of the time, it's going to start with a feeling. You're going to feel the energy of the crystal. Now, a lot of times when you're first starting to pay attention to the feeling of crystals, we really are fixated on that's just a rock. It's just a rock. And so we pick it up. It might be hot. It might be cold. We're going to notice the temperature. We're going to notice the rough. Is it rough? Is it smooth? What does it feel like on the outside? So at first, start there. If you're not feeling the energy right away, take it back a notch. Look at your crystal, ask it to teach you something, and then just start acknowledging all the things that you can about it. What colors does your crystal have? Does it have spots? Does it have cracks? Acknowledge everything that you can about that, because every color, every crack, everything about the crystal has something to teach you. I find crystals all the time, or stones all the time, that have come across sword markings, and so it's been scraped by a battlefield. I've also come across them where they have been meshed all together, kind of like concrete, but nature did it. And this was a time when there was a river bend and had many different crystals, but that dried up, and as all of the crystals started coming through, they were just getting more crushed and more crushed and more crushed, and then eventually they dried out and petrified, and so now they look in the form of cement. So you can look at where did the center come from? What do you think that center core is? A lot of crystals, when you're looking at them, they might appear one color on the outside, but if you really pay close attention to the feeling in it, it is also telling you something on the inside. So you might see a rock that's green on the outside and have a little crack of white on the inside that kind of goes in, and it might actually be white all the way through. Ask your crystal, but pay attention to them. Pay attention to everything that crystal is showing you and telling you. Pay attention from the angle. And once you really start to do that, you'll really be able to read, because then what's going to end up happening is once you bond with your crystal, once you appreciate it, once you acknowledge it, and it will start talking to you just as a person would. You know, people, when they're acknowledged, when they're complimented, when, oh, hey, I love your shirt. Oh, where did you get that scar from? Or I love the shape of your shoes. You know, pay attention to everything that you can possibly pay attention to and give it compliments, and it will say, oh, thanks, you know, or, oh, this is how I got my scar, but it'll start to engage in a conversation with you. Now, of course, this is through telepathy, just through working of the mind, so you really have to be open to the feelings that it's sending you, and it has in all of the memories and experiences that it's also sending you. As I'm doing readings and paying attention to what the crystals are telling me, I'm paying attention to all of these details. What am I seeing in the stone? What is being acknowledged? What is put to me first? What is closer to the person? What is the energy telling me? And a lot of times what will happen is it will trigger something that happened in my past or in my memory, and it will start flipping through my experiences to show me exactly what I need to tell the person, or I need to tell myself. If I'm just talking to crystals and learning on my own, it'll flip me through a series of projections that are just experience after experience or things that I've seen, and it'll put it all together and play out kind of a little movie in my head so that I can understand what's going on to be able to deliver that message onto the person. Now, when you are first seeing, per se, the energy in it, I want to let you know that in seeing energy in spiritual realm is actually feeling first. So you'll have a feeling that crystal will start to tingle, or that crystal will make your heart a little heavy, or that crystal might give you a slight headache, feel like it's putting pressure. You'll feel it somewhere in your body. So when you want to know what a crystal is really saying, make sure that you are paying attention to every single cell within your body and what it is feeling. Where is that energy going? If that energy is going straight to my head, I know that I need some work on my crown chakra or on my third eye. I need some energy work maybe in the way that I am perceiving things. Maybe I need some work as far as being able to open up my third eye, gain my psychic abilities. That crystal is going to know exactly what you need to know, because whether or not you see it, the crystals choose us. We don't choose the crystals. People walk into my store all the time, Melissa, what stone should I pick? And I say, I have no idea. I can tell you the properties of them. I can tell you what they mean when they're sitting on the shelf. But the second that you pick up any stone, you change those properties, you make a soul connection, and it starts to resonate with you. And it is very tailored to what you want. And maybe that amethyst that was sitting on the shelf, that was for transformation, for godly acknowledgement, for inner knowledge, and for addiction. Maybe it was for all those things while it was sitting on the shelf and alone, and that's what the quote-unquote book properties of it is. But once you pick that up, that might mean a calming stone for you. That might mean something that's going to help you astral project. It might be there to just keep you company. Maybe you were lonely. So they mean something different. Don't always go by what the book says. Go by what the crystal makes you feel. Go by the visions that the crystals are showing you, whether that vision be through actual sight or of psychic abilities, or whether it be through feelings and showing you where in your body the energy is needed, or by going through a flip scale of memories. But it will show you and it will bond with you. And I love the fact that there are so many things out there that you can read up on crystals. I really love the fact that there are books out there. I love the fact that there's internet out there to search. But I always will encourage you to find the meaning of that crystal for yourself, because brothers and sisters, I cannot tell you how many times I have read properties in a book and then picked up a crystal and it told me a completely different story. The tarot agate, I can tell you that it says peace, love, and harmony in every book and everything that I've ever read. However, I will tell you that during a crystal reading, every single time that somebody picks that one up, they have had somebody die within the last 6 months. And so to me, that's actually a kind of death stone. It just lets me know that somebody had passed. And the same thing goes with the snowflake obsidian. It has the peace and harmony. It's there for mental clarity. It's there for being able to see clairvoyantly. But I don't see it that way. I see it as being unique. You need to be unique. You need to find your place in the world, but make sure that where your place is, it's balanced around you. Make sure that you open up your mind, because a lot of people are very closed minds. So it's time to open up your mind and it's time to unite. And that's what it says most every time that I pick up that one. So pay attention to how you are really feeling with that crystal, because even though a book might tell you something, the crystal might tell you something completely different. And like I said, it might happen to the hands of somebody else, and then it might tell a completely different story. But that's up for you to find out. It's up for you to pay attention. We're going to talk about how to do healings with crystals and why they're so amazing, and why do you keep losing your crystals all the time? All the time we're just losing crystals. If you're a crystal holder, you're losing it. Why is that? We're talking about crystals today. My favorite subject, of course. I love crystals. I have learned so much from crystals. And why is it that we can continue to learn from crystals? Let me tell you, I had somebody ask me one time, Melissa, how is it that you are, or why is it that you're so obsessed with crystals? And how do you talk to them? How do you read them? Why do you have to have stones all over your house? What's the point? Let me tell you the point. The point is that if you want to learn anything and everything about life, get your stones and get your crystals. And I'll tell you why. What do you think crystals are made from? If you don't know, let me tell you. Of course, people are going to say chemicals and da-da-da, but realistically, what it is once everything dies and everything goes away, so the people, the animals, all of the nature, all of the equipment that we have to utilize as any kind of tools in life, eventually at some point will die. We will go into the ground, our coffins will be eaten up, our bodies will be eaten up, all of the trees will be eaten up, the animals and their cells will be eaten up, and so all of that DNA structure is sunken into the ground. Eventually, the heat or the gases or some kind of chemical reaction will end up happening, and it will almost encapsulate you. It will take you in to itself, and it will make you part of that crystal. So any DNA that was on that ground within that area, that crystal just absorbed. And crystal loves to connect to other crystal. So crystal sees another crystal and, hey, let's unite, let's hang out, let's be friends, let's be a structure, let's be ground, let's be stronger. And so crystals realize that it needs to unite. So crystals will unite. And once that crystal unites to another crystal, now we have all of that information and all of that DNA that is within that crystal. And anytime that you chop any part of that crystal off, it will forever be connected to its base source. So if there's a quartz piece in Colorado and it had all of that information and it was connected to another quartz piece that was 10 miles out, because they're in the big mountains, right? And it is connected to that. Anything within that 10-mile radius that had died and went into the earth now became part of that crystal. And so all of that crystal for that 10 miles across and 10 miles up, or however big the mountains are, which I know it's not 10 miles, of course, I'm just talking for example at this point, but let's say that it was 25 miles out and 10 miles up, then we are going to have all of that crystal within that entire place be able to connect to all other things that had the DNA. Once I go into that mountain and I chop down that piece of crystal and I take it home with me, I now have access to all the DNA, all of the information, all of the computed sourcing, all of the codes, all of the frequencies that are held within that crystal. And I now have the ability to tune into that giant mountain and be able to talk to it with my little crystal. And I'll also be able to find out any information of all things that pass. So think of this. I mean, stones are millions of years old. We can talk to ancestors from 1 million years ago. And I know this because I have a piece of crystal that I learned, well, I have several pieces of crystal that I learned a lot from, and most of my information I've actually learned from crystals of Mother Nature. I can show you how cancer works by showing you how a crystal is. I can show you how vibrations and frequencies interfere with each other by showing you different crystals. I can show you how pressure and gases affect one environment. I can also show you that not only is it what we have died on, but also what we are living on, that energy around us is permitted and penetrated, into the ground also. So if I'm sitting here, I'm in my house, my kids, my families are in my house, all of my friends and everyone comes through. We're putting our energy in. That is soaking into the ground. And as it soaks into the ground, that also changes the chemical compound of the crystals. And so this is why you have different colors in different areas of the world or different areas of cities or different stones, is because that stone is very guided by the energies that are with it and around it. And you can see that different living eras or different living energies or living kinds have been in different places. We'll look at an agate. If you look at an agate and it has different layers of colors, that's because that energy of either the land or the things that were dead within it were completely different than the next layer up, and all of those colors are a different consciousness, are a different frequency, are a different story that the stone has told. And as I was saying before I kind of got off track there, is that what I had learned from my crystal when I meditated and learned from it, and I had learned everything that happened over the last 5 million years that this thing has been around. And so I'm writing my book on Northeast Southwest, on the real energies of the world, and everything was from what I learned in this one particular stone. And it is just like the Mayans. You have the ability to gather any crystals or any stones and take that energy from it, or not take it, I guess, utilize it or learn from it. But the interesting thing about crystals is once it has taught you its lesson, or once you have taught its lesson, because anything that any crystal touches, the crystal takes on that DNA, takes on that coding. I can watch that energy come right from me and into that crystal, and it actually will change the energy of the crystal. Actually, I have a giant quartz crystal that I have been working with for a good, it's been a year now, from my great friends Taj and Michael, and they had said, "Oh, Melissa, you got to have this crystal. You got to have it." And when I first received it, this crystal was completely clear. You could see everything through it, and it told me how to work with it and utilize energies and amp it up. And so with my own hands, with my own energy, I was able to take out parts of the crystal and take energy and put it into the crystal. And now if you look at the crystal, because I utilize angel energy and cosmic energy, it looks like an angel is actually in the crystal. It's no longer clear. I have changed the energies out because I learned how to work with my crystal, and I learned the energies that it was willing to let go, and I learned the spaces that it was willing to allow new energies to come in through. And so now this thing is very amplified, has so much energy with it, and could honestly heal an entire room, because we know how to work together, and I know how to utilize that crystal energy. And just like the Mayans did, you can imprint in the middle of crystals. You can imprint your own coding. You can imprint what you want to say to other people. And the particular stone that I got was imprinted by a Native American who wanted the real story of energy to come out. So he had imprinted his energy in the middle of the crystal that I utilized. And once I was able to listen to the crystal and see the imprints and actually pay attention to and acknowledge it, I was able to start writing my book, which is, I stare at it, I pay attention to the rays, I see how the clouds move around it. I love staring at the sun, brothers and sisters. It's a good thing to do. You know what else loves staring at the sun? Your crystals. Your crystals love the sunlight. Now, leave the dark crystals out of the sun. A lot of amethysts don't like it. A lot of your greens don't like it. A lot of the blue, the indigo blues, they don't like the suns. But you need to make sure that you are always recharging your crystals. So if they are of lighter color, quartz, rose quartz, any kind of agates, they actually love love the sun. So charge them out in the sun, and direct sun is always the best. You can also go ahead and bury them into soil, leave them there for a week. They absolutely love that. They love the dark. They love the rest. They love, love, love being buried in soil. So go ahead and try that also. Always, you can always charge crystals in the moon. Make sure that you are getting those crystals charged so that they can charge you also. Another way to do it is in the sea salt. They love being submerged in sea salt. So make sure that you are getting your crystals out there, making sure that they are getting charged, that they're getting rest, because there's always working for you ways to utilize it. Of course, you can wear it anywhere. Necklace, I put them in my bra, to be quite honest. You can put them in your pockets. You can put them in your purse. Put them under your pillow while you're sleeping. Another thing that I do is I take all of the chakra stones and I put those under the mattress. So while I'm sleeping, they're doing work, but I'm also up during the day, so they're not stressed out, and always doing some work too. You need to make sure that if you are wearing crystals, that you always take them off for a short period of time. Well, actually, it'd be better to have them off for at least 8 hours a day. They do get worn out. They do get tired. They are always healing and always working. So make sure that you're giving your crystals a rest too. You can utilize crystals during meditation if you want to go ahead and have enlightenment and raise your vibrations, raise your frequencies. Now, if they are not wanting to work with you anymore, and this is probably why you're losing your crystals, they will find another home. They will go somebody else. They will say, I'm with them. Their energy is better for me, and my energy is better for them right now. And so if you are no longer feeling energy on a crystal like you did before, do pass it on to somebody who it is being called for. It is very, very rare to keep crystals all your life. Of course, there are some special ones, especially kind of those bigger ones we like to hang on to. But do realize that it will become a point where the crystals do want to move. If they don't want to move from you, they want to move around, or if they want to move around the house, do let them move around the house. Brothers and sisters, I love you so very much. I do got to let you go right now. Peace be with you. I will be back with Central.
Like that.